Hey guys, what's going on? IAQ Josh here. I am back after a brief departure. I've been over in the great state of Texas, assisting a larger consulting firm with the recovery efforts following all of these unfortunate pipe breaks that we had. So I thought I'd make a video about it. So let's discuss. So I was over in Texas for about a week and a half. That was across 2 trips. One of the trips I spent over in Dallas, then migrated over to Austin, and then the second trip up, which was just I think just a long weekend, I was over in the Dallas area. And during my time there, albeit a week and a half, I saw quite the medley of events, from the good positive events to the unfortunate events that realistically just shouldn't have even gone on in the first place. So for those of you that don't know what happened, Texas, as well as a number of other states across the United States, unfortunately when we went through this great freeze, as it was called in some instances, you had a lot of these plumbing pipes, whether they were freshwater supply lines or sprinkler lines in a larger residential home or pretty much every commercial space. You had these water lines that all froze. And then as it was a partial freeze, when they were starting to thaw out, you then had these pockets that were full of frozen water, ice essentially, and then you now had water coming and pushing against this, and that created a tremendous amount of pressure within these pipes. And if you see these pictures, simply put, just Google Texas pipe burst, you will see some of these images of some of what these pipes look like, and it is just, it's mind-blowing to see the amount of pressure and collateral damage that water can cause. Let's talk about some of the good that went on there. First and foremost, I'm a part of a group on Facebook that is basically a collection of restoration professionals. So it was quite possibly the coolest thing in the world to see so many small businesses, medium businesses, large businesses come together to assist each other with their overflow, right? So some of the local Texas-based companies, simply put, they could not keep up with the demand of these water calls that were coming in. So to see these companies simply post up online, hey, I've got 20, I've got 30, I've got 50 leads, quality leads of just folks that I unfortunately cannot get to because my company is tapped out. Whether they didn't have the manpower to handle it, which is probably the case, the lack of machinery did eventually get in there and it was plentiful, but either way, that was one of the coolest parts of this trip that I saw. So another cool part of the trip, of course, was reconnecting with folks that I don't necessarily see on a daily basis, right? There's a lot of folks that I interact with daily, weekly basis across the, what I call modern day forums, which is going to be the Facebook groups. But overall, these aren't folks that are in my market. So these aren't folks that I have lunch with and go out to dinner with, et cetera, et cetera. So it was really cool to be able to connect with some of these folks, kind of rekindle some of the past experiences that we've spent with one another, and just, you know, have as good of a time as we could, given the unusual circumstance that brought us all to Texas in the first place. So now some of the unfortunate events that I saw in Texas, I don't even know how to put it. There were companies that are not remediation companies, that are not mitigation companies, that are some other type of contractor going and performing this level of mitigation work that they never should have been doing in the first place. So when you have companies with zero experience in this industry that are just going out and purchasing equipment and just throwing inexperienced labor at these events, you can imagine what a disaster it was in some of these folks' homes and in a lot of businesses as well. And for the sake of not putting anybody on blast, I won't even talk about the specific trades that I saw performing these services, but unfortunately, it was just bad. You should know, you should just know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And even if it's not necessarily a weakness, the thought process of what you need to do. Because after all, if you're a contractor in this industry, more than likely, somewhere down that line, you know somebody who is a mitigation or remediation professional, and you've probably had enough conversations where you understand at least some of the trials and tribulations that they go through. And that should have been the first sign that I should not do what I'm about to do. All right, and since this is my first video since my departure to Texas, I'll keep it short, I'll keep it sweet. 2 things that I don't think I've ever done. But anyway, there's definitely some cool content to come. While I was away, I visited the DeWalt Academy of Drying to get quite a bit more experience. It's amazing how much you don't know when you go to a class like that. So stay tuned for a video in the future talking about my experience up there with Chuck, Chris, and a whole bunch of other industry colleagues. Until the next time, if you like this video, please go ahead and give me that thumbs up. Keeps me motivated. Hit that subscribe button if you do want to see more content like this. And as always, I'll see y'all around.